Welcome back to Rise and Thrive. I'm Emma Sullivan, and today we're talking about something our culture says is absolutely unacceptable: being sad.
I'm David Park, and I'm already uncomfortable. Isn't wellness supposed to be relentlessly cheerful?
That's exactly the problem. Y'all, we've been sold this idea that wellness means happy all the time. But what happens when you're just genuinely sad,
You're supposed to positive think your way out of it. Maybe do some affirmations in the mirror.
right? Today, we're diving into Mac McClellan's piece about learning to accept sadness. She spent $20,000 in therapy learning something radical: that it's okay to be sad.
$20,000 to learn it's okay to cry. That's the most expensive permission slip ever.
Here's the context. Mac developed PTSD after work-related trauma. Major depression, alcoholism, suicidal ideation. Her biggest problem? Not just the sadness, but feeling sad about being sad.
Meta sadness. That sounds exhausting.
It was. She'd start crying and immediately hate herself. Why am I crying? What's wrong with me? The judgment about sadness was worse than the sadness itself.
I do this. I feel sad, then feel weak for feeling sad, then feel annoyed at myself for feeling weak.
That's the trap. Her therapist kept saying sadness is a legitimate emotion. Without judgment, that sensation can be exquisite. And Mac would yell, "Lies!" Sometimes she called her therapist a hippie.
I like Mac. She sounds delightfully difficult.
But here's where our culture fails us. MasterChef Junior, cooking show for children. There's an 8-year-old who ruins her shepherd's pie. She's crying. Judge Joe Bastianich says, pull it together. Wipe your tears.
She's 8 and just ruined her biggest dream. She's allowed to cry about shepherd's pie.
Right? Or Bridesmaids, where Melissa McCarthy slaps Kristen Wiig and tells her to stop being sad, even though she's lost her job, savings, home, and best friend, and that magically fixes everything.
The healing power of violence. Very therapeutic.
So Mac spent 3 years learning to accept sadness. The breakthrough moment? September 17th, 2013. She's on a massage table, somatic therapy thing, and tells her therapist, I feel sad because we have to move. I have to grieve a state.
Grieve a state. That's actually quite poetic.
She's crying about leaving California. And suddenly she pictures herself as a kid lying in a yard, feeling sad, but not feeling sad. About feeling sad. Just being alive. She says, I'm not bummed out about feeling bummed out.
That's the $20,000 moment right there.
Her therapist literally said people pay a lot of money for that, Mac. And Mac said they should. Then immediately they shouldn't have to. Which is the whole problem with healthcare in America, but that's another episode.
So, what's the practical takeaway for those of us who can't afford $20,000 of therapy?
First, notice when you're experiencing sadness about being sad. That's where you can intervene. You might not control the sadness, but you can work on not hating yourself for it.
Catching the self-judgment.
Exactly. Second, practice saying sadness is a legitimate emotion. Even if you don't believe it, just say it. Third, get curious about the sensation. Not why am I sad, but what does this feel like?
Less fixing, more feeling.
Yes, Mac describes sadness as having weight, slowing things down. If you can get curious about it, you're accepting rather than fighting. Fourth, when you think, why am I crying? Replace it with, I'm crying because I'm sad. This is normal.
That's remarkably simple.
Simple but not easy. You're fighting decades of programming. Here's my favorite part. Max says that sometimes when she's not sad, she misses it. The interestingness of it. The evidence that she can feel.
Missing sadness is such a bizarre concept.
But it makes sense. She'd rather feel intensely than feel nothing. One of her doctors said, some people are born, live, and die. You die and are reborn sometimes 10 times in one day. Lucky.
That's a very particular definition of lucky.
Right? She says even joy feels like her heart's exploding. But that's better than numbness. And here's her beautiful conclusion. They say it takes a big man to cry, but it takes a bigger woman to feel the strength of a sob without apology or shame, with pride.
Crying with pride. That's genuinely radical.
Y'all, if you're finding this helpful, please like and subscribe. We need more honest conversations about emotions that don't involve slapping people or telling 8-year-olds to toughen up.
Important note. If your sadness is persistent or life-threatening, please seek professional help.
Yes, crucial distinction. Mac needed intensive therapy, medication, lots of interventions. Accepting sadness is part of healing, not a substitute for treatment.
So to summarize, sadness is legitimate. Judging yourself for it makes it worse. And Nicki Minaj making you cry in your car is totally fine.
Perfect summary. The goal isn't to never be sad. The goal is to be sad without the additional layer of shame, judgment, and self-hatred. That's where the real suffering lives.
And apparently, it takes $20,000 and 3 years to learn this.
Or you can start today by just noticing your judgment and saying, hey, maybe I'm allowed to feel this way, free of charge.
Revolutionary.
Until next time, feel your feelings, don't slap people who are crying, and remember that being human means sometimes you're just sad for no good reason, and that's fine.
This podcast is powered by voxcrea.ai, where ideas find their voice, even sad ideas, especially sad ideas.